Mm. Hello, loves. Hello, hello. It's Hills here from the Blue Flame Apothecary, and we are in March. All of the energies that we had been talking about are really flowing now. Can you feel it? I sure can. I've been starting to write the cosmic light drops as I'm recording this. By the time you're watching it, it should be out, and there'll be a link below for the Virgo Full Moon on the 7th. A moon that peaks, and then Saturn, a couple of hours later, shifts over into Pisces. There is so much energy flowing right now, so much shifting happening. If you are feeling a little discombobulated, it is understandable. It is understandable. This is also what we've been preparing for. Whether you started to activate to your gifts, to your true potential 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, 2 years ago, or 20 years ago, much of it has been in preparation for the energies that we're navigating right now. What I mean by that is we have been retuning and expanding our heart centers in a major way. The heart is the most powerful muscle in our entire body. Feel that for a minute. Allow yourself to feel that for a minute. The heart is the most powerful muscle in our entire body. It feels like sometimes we forget that the heart is one of our muscles. It has a stronger electromagnetic field than our brains. Every other muscle in our entire body is fed through the blood that it pumps and filters. The oxygen that it moves through our system. Even our central nervous system is working in conjunction with our heart space, with our heart itself, our physical heart. Actually, neither of those two systems could work without the other one, right? This feels like it's bringing us into the big energy that I'm feeling for this current opening of the cycle of the March energies as Saturn is shifting into Pisces, as we lead up into the equinox frequencies towards the end of the month, and Pluto shifting signs, and then Gemini leaving, or Mars leaving Gemini. There's this asking for stillness for a moment. Asking for stillness for a moment. With all of the energy that's moving through us right now, with all the light that's moving through us, finding even 30 seconds of stillness within your being can be really helpful. And we'll do that together right now. So last night, and this is going to bring us into the energies that I was just speaking of before we had our moment of stillness. Last night, Mike asked to watch the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I laughed. There's not a cinematic depiction of the current energies, of the energies of this Saturn shift into Pisces that I can think of. And I wrote a lot about it actually already in the Cosmic Light Drop, so I don't want to go super down the rabbit hole with it right now, but it is a really strong, we are currently activating our neural energetic pathways to the knowing that we are everything everywhere all at once. And this is part of the reason that our system is so fried. If your system is feeling like, until you can stay in the ever-present now while knowing that you are connected to the all of everything, and that every moment is a piece of the all of everything. You're like a radio that's picking up, like an antenna that's picking up every radio signal all at once without having dials to tune it. Part of what we've been doing as we've been coming into balance within our systems, learning to navigate, is creating those markers on the dial while realizing that they are our creation. Linear time is our creation. So that means that we can kind of hop around on the dial. So Saturn, speaking of hopping around on the dial, as this full moon peaks, the moon over in Virgo, the sun conjunct Medusa in Pisces, it is Saturn who is the star of this show. The star. The planet of this show. As I mentioned, Saturn will be shifting signs in the hours after the full moon peaks on the 7th. However, as that full moon peaks, Saturn is still in those last degrees of Aquarius and is making an air grand trine to Horus, the divine child, which is exactly conjunct a dark star nebula that I have not talked about since June. I actually completely forgot about it until last night. I got this message. You need to put the infrared dragon into the Virgo full moon chart. And sure enough, the infrared dragon, which is a part of the M17 nebula, which until 2010 had not been discovered because we needed the infrared technology to see what was going on. We just thought it was empty space, as if there's such a thing. And what we realized once the infrared technology was developed so that we could actually get a better view of what's happening there is that this is a massive stellar birthing center that's shaped like a dragon. Dragon is a symbol of divine power, of unified power. So to be exactly conjunct Horus, the divine child, another symbol of full unified beingness, the full integration of all aspects of self. You can use feminine, masculine, your heights and your depths, your shadow and your light. Whatever words, they all mean the same thing, which is bringing your wholeness online. So here we have Saturn in the last moments of being in Aquarius for the next 28 years or so, making an exact, nearly exact trine to these energies of unification over in Libra. And they are also very close to the stellar dimension of Arcturus, which is, once again, that's our incarnation birthing center. That's our soul birthing center when we're coming into physical embodied incarnations anyways, here on the earth plane. A place where we explore our karmic cycle. Part of this consciousness that we're coming into as Saturn begins to move into Pisces is a recalibration of the energies of our concepts of karma and time, right? I've talked a lot about this. I talked quite a bit about it in the Pisces new moon video when the sun was conjunct Saturn. They are also in a trine with Hecate. Hecate has shifted directions and she's moving forward now. She's been retrograde for a while. She shifted out of Cancer into Gemini. Now she's moving forward in Gemini again and exactly trine to the exact conjunction between the infrared dragon and Horus. Hecate is the energy of the crossroads and the torchbearer. She holds a light. She is also a triple goddess, which means that she holds within her single being all of her generations, all of her cycles. Could there be another better symbol for unification of beingness? And then you have the crossroads laid out in front of you, all of the possible paths, and this is air grand trine. So we've talked about trine energy before. A trine is a gifting energy. When it's a grand trine, it can sometimes feel so innate that we forget that it's even there. And air is your mental body, your mental plane. So can we feel how what we forgot is that we created time? Which means that we can also uncreate it or wiggle in and out of it in those ways that are the most true. One of the things that I also was feeling last night is every night when I go to sleep, I have some sort of pre-dream time meditation that I practice that I go through, and it changes every night in some degree, depending on what I need personally. And last night I could feel this energy of, oh, I have so much to do, because my system got really fried coming into March, and I needed to take a couple of days to recalibrate myself. So all these ideas of the things that I was going to do on Wednesday and Thursday, I had to back away from and say, no, What I actually need is to take some time to allow my system to come back into balance. There's a massive clearing of my membranes in my head in particular. And I kept being shown, oh yeah, you need to have an opening of your clair channels, and it's going to take place in the physical through your mucous membranes, because this is really important. We are physical embodied beings, so all of our spiritual practices also have to anchor through our embodied beingness. Which is why we have things like light body symptoms, right? When our heart is expanding, when we're releasing a lot of grief, a lot of times that can come out as coughing. When we're releasing self-worth issues, sometimes that's our digestion, right? Circling back then to last night, I was feeling this overwhelm, right? I had all this stuff to do. And I was thinking, oh, I need to do this, and it takes me this much time, and this takes me that much time, and how am I going to get it all done? And this is the amount of time I have. And I remembered everything, everywhere, all at once. And I connected in with my higher self, my multidimensional beingness, and I said, let me connect in now with that part of me that has already done this, that, and the other thing. And begin to download it. Begin to connect to that part of myself that's already done it. Not in a way where let me feel here, because it's kind of goofy, right? Like, oh, I'm connected in now to the part of me that's already written the Cosmic Light Drops update. Now I just have to download it. Like, doop. Or I know Kung Fu, both of them. Whether it's the Matrix or Everything Everywhere All at Once, the first thing that they download is Kung Fu. That was not the first thing that I downloaded, even in the first time that I ever downloaded anything in that way. Okay, goofiness aside. What I was actually doing is connecting into the part of me that is limitless, that holds all potentialities and all possibilities. Connecting in with those timelines, those aspects of my being that had already done the things that I knew I needed to do. And this is not just with simple tasks like writing a newsletter. The Venus point activation that I facilitated on Tuesday the 28th, which the replay is now available. I'll put a link below if you want to request it. In order to facilitate the Venus point activation, I also was connecting in with that multidimensional beingness of myself. All of those aspects of me, past, present, and future, who already knew what the Venus point was. And was then able to connect dots that if I had just been trying to look stuff up on the computer and explore in more traditional, old sort of ways, I wouldn't have found anything. I wouldn't have found anything because it's not a point that had been previously on the radar, right? People hadn't been talking about it, so how could I have found something? And when we have innovations, this is what we're doing. When we talk about somebody who has a genius idea, this is what they're tapping into. They're tapping into a part of themselves that has already done it. If we think about a musician who can just write a song, like they sit down and the song just comes. That's also what they're doing. We sometimes call that the muse. This isn't to say that there's not other like team and guides and all of these other aspects of light and beingness that are involved in these processes. But part of what we are activating within ourselves is that ability to be Hecate, to be Horus, to reimagine how time works in our relationship to time and space, how information in our mental body processes is being recalibrated because we are holding a torch up and seeing all of the possible paths. And through that, we are able to make sure to ensure that we are taking the right one in moments and moments and moments and moments. And this isn't a ego thing. This isn't a I keep hearing I think therefore I am sort of thing. But it also is. It's not ego, but it is kind of I think therefore I am. There is just a change in what we consider thinking, perhaps. I realize I haven't even talked about the sun and the moon yet. But like I said, Saturn is really the star of the show. And there's another aspect that is just screaming to be looked at, and it's Kali conjunct Algol, Medusa's third eye, in Taurus, conjunct Sedna, conjunct Alcyon. Now, the last time this grouping happened was around the time of the September equinox last year. And if you remember, that was also a very, very powerful activation point. Algol is previously referred to as the demon star because it eclipses itself and seems to disappear. So people didn't trust it. And it happens to be where Medusa's third eye is, where Perseus is holding her head in the sky. And we can feel into this as the demonization. And then you've got Kali, the demon slayer, and you've got Sedna, the queen of the underworld. She's got a Persephone energy. She's an Inuit goddess. She's also dismembered, much like Osiris. Alcyon, the central star of the Pleiades, is the star. The Pleiades in general are about death and rebirth, and the interconnection between the two. They're making an exact square to Saturn. All while Medusa is exactly conjunct the sun. This lunar cycle, this cycle of March that we have entered in general, is asking us to stand bravely in our hearts. And this is where I'm going to close today. We are being asked to stand bravely in our hearts, with our hearts splayed open, to remember the amount of courage it took even to just say, yes, I will come down and be a soul embodied. I will experience all that it is and all that it means to be in physical form, all of the heartbreak and all of the ecstasy. And there is this energy right now of so much information coming in, so much information coming in. And some of us are acclimated and are used to this, and some of us have never fucking experienced it before. And it can feel chaotic and unnerving. Go easy with yourself. Let your heart guide you. Take as much opportunity as you can to go back into your heart space. Remember where we began this energy update, that the heart is the biggest muscle in your entire body. It's the strongest muscle in your entire body. Let it do its job. As you breathe into it, let it help you release old griefs. Let it break and crack open as tears flow, as it transmutes that which is no longer you. There is a mantra of sorts that came through a few weeks ago for me as I was in another pre-dream time meditation, as I was releasing some old stories that I didn't even know existed within my being. Thank you once was, but no longer is, an aspect of me. I release you that you may become the next highest version of yourself, transmuted by the light, allowing me also to become the next highest version of myself. And when I say the next highest, I mean the next truest. And our hearts are built for this. Our hearts are built for this. I'll have a lot more of the astrology and the cosmic light drops update. And I'll be facilitating the transmission in the members portal and the violet flame release ceremony. There's the Venus point activation if that calls to you. There'll be links below for everything. I also just updated or just released here on the YouTube channel a meditation that came through during that September equinox in the members portal. It's called the Honeyed Blue Lagoon meditation. And it brings through beautiful amber honey and cool blue light codes, helping to soothe your nervous system, helping to sweeten it. It's a really beautiful meditation if you're feeling frayed. At the end, you get taken to a beautiful lagoon where you get to hang out and rejuvenate yourself. If that calls to you, there will be a link below, and I'll end cap this video with that also. If you enjoyed this update, please let me know in the comments and subscribe and like and ring the bell and do all of the things. It's really, really helpful to me, to the channel, algorithms and all of that also. And it would be absolutely an honor to welcome you into the Blue Flame Members Portal. It's a really beautiful community. We gather every new moon for a live transmission and activation. I facilitate a transmission and meditation of Violet Flame every full moon. There's apothecary retreats. There's a new membership option that has a private coaching or rewiring session every month also. Come check it out. There'll be links. I love, love, love you. From, through, and beyond all of the dimensions and the always. Thank you, thank you, thank you.